I'm sure I didn't murder your name. Apologies, please.
You tried, you did well. Above average.
Yeah. I mean, he's a seasoned product manager, and one of the beautiful thing is after like looking at his portfolio, he has moved from different possible roles that makes you a product manager to what he is today. Um, Mr. Victor, is nice to have you here. And yeah, can you do a brief introduction about yourself so that pick up the role you have today?
Uh, Thank you very much for having me at Proba. It's a delight. Uh, I have always longed, and it's something I am happy doing, to share insights into, you know, getting to become a product manager. Um, and this year has been one that I said, okay, I'll do this more. For a very long time, I've had to probably, stay away because of a lot of things around work and, busy schedules. However, this year I said I would, give more time to this. And I always love to see it when I see, people mentored and then they get into the profession, into that career, and they get established. And for me, over the years, I've had to, build this career, and coming in from a non-tech background into product management, to the point where now, as a product manager, I have grown into a point where I analyze and demystify complex business problems and turn them into actionable um, tasks for engineers to build products that users love. And over the years, I've moved from different industries, and currently I am in the fintech, and I'm loving it in the fintech. It's fast-paced, fast thinking, and you have to be very dynamic, and it's something that builds you as a person, as an individual, and it also helps you as an individual to actualize that your dream of self-actualization, right? And I'm happy to be here. I currently work as an API product manager at Block, and I manage the API arm of things at Block, where we do a lot of things around payments. In fact, everything business banking and payments. So thank you very much for having me, and I look forward to having a good time here today.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I love how you've come from different backgrounds to where you are, and I was reviewing your LinkedIn, so it's fine for me. I know. I mean, as the host, it's fine for me to know who I'm having on board. So yeah, I did some CIA thingy, and I mean, it's fantastic how you've been able to move as a support analyst down to product marketing manager, and at some point a data analyst, and yeah, product management, then API, right? I mean, it is more like saying you move from being a product manager to a technical product guy, right? I mean, it's just that you are just specifically taking API, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the parts for product managers. I mean, people that really don't want to code, um, usually they're actually afraid of. How is it like for you transitioning it from being a traditional product manager that actually doesn't write code, that do researches, user research, find solutions, and build requirements, to somebody having to say, I want you to do this way for engineers?
Uh, Thank you for that question. I think it's not so different, right? Right? Because I've still not started writing code. I'm still not writing code. It's just
Yeah,
that now I've gradually, over the years, built some extra hard skills. And when I say hard skills in the sense where I now understand the technicalities of, development of some things, not necessarily what is written as the code. For instance, I can now tell you that, okay, if you want to say build a solution for your onboarding, you start looking at, okay, we have to create this set of endpoints. authentication endpoints. You have to create user endpoints. So now I'm speaking in the terms of the engineers. Back then, when I just came in, I could talk about it. And okay, as just a product manager who probably did not understand those technicalities, I would just say, okay, I want to create a user. So it is the
I
engineers that
want
will
to be
now
able to
plan.
log in. I want
Again,
to
I
be
want
able
you
to
to
log
log
out.
in.
I want
I
to be
want you
able
to
to
log out. But
do
there is something that is, powering all that process, which is now that technical part where I now focus on and discuss more about. However, I still do the front end, the UI bits, but now probably because of where I am currently, and it's something that is beautiful. I do both basically, and for now I'm focused on the API side of things.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense, makes sense. Thank you for that clarity. I mean, it's nightmare for some people, anyways. But then I usually tell people that, right, if you are um so passionate about being a product manager, you effortlessly just get to know these things, right? It's
Exactly.
it's what you are in the discussion. There's a bug today, and somebody is sharing the screen of how this has gotten to that and how that has gotten to this, and you're in your screen demos. Somebody is telling you how they have actually built one or two things. Just need to listen to this carefully, and you don't know that there's actually no magic, right? I mean, even if you're not going to write, you can effortlessly understand how it works and not write one line of code, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. Thank you for that. I mean, let's dive into why we are here today.
All right.
Before you say you want to know, um, get interviewed, get a quick actual job, you also need to understand what product management is all about, right? Not
Yeah.
understanding it is also a day one failure for you on your interviews. I mean, there are some things that I just want to ask you. This is basically not what you read from books, but if you understand the nitty-gritty of what being a product manager is, then you should be able to answer them, right? I
Sure.
mean, what are like these possible responsibilities and functions that you expect that at least you should know this as a product manager. You should. What's like the important things for product manager in driving product management, product development and strategy.
All right. Thank you for that question. So, I want to assume that there are people on the call who are currently not into product management,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
probably have, they just want to know about it. Perhaps they're in that phase of trying to understand and navigate what will suit their needs best. And at the same time, there are also people who are probably transitioning currently,
Mhm.
and we also have people who are senior product managers like you as well, right? So quickly, I'll start from defining what product management is, and then I'll also try to talk about who a product manager is, and then go ahead to talk about their roles, right? So product management, you can look at it as the arts of creating a product from conception. So I want to build a product. The product doesn't necessarily have to be physical, what I can see, what is tangible. It can be a service. So a service can be a product. And that's why you have some products where they say software as a service, right? It's also a product, but it's a service you're rendering. So building a product from conception all the way through to launch. And basically, the idea is being able to understand the customer's need and their wants, understanding their pain points, and then closely working with various teams like engineering, design, marketing, communications to make sure that you meet this set of needs of these customers. Ultimately, the idea of product management is about creating value for both the customer and the business you're working for or you're creating yourself. Because at the end of the day, as much as you're solving the problem of the customer, you also must be generating revenue that you used to be scaling the business, you used to be sustaining the business. So if as much as you're solving that problem, so that's basically the idea of product management, being able to the art of building a product or creating a product from the initial phase of conception to launching that product. And if you want to now look at the role of a product manager, or say who is a product manager, I would say, and I want to explain it in such a way that I'm not too technical. and at the same time, I'm trying. A layman can also understand. A product manager, I would say, is a very crucial member of a team that is responsible for coordinating the efforts of different individuals. A very crucial member. So that means it's a team. It's not just the product manager, but it's a crucial member, a focal member, a focal point, a pivotal person in that team that is responsible for coordinating the efforts of different individuals, designers, engineers, like I mentioned, marketers, name them. Basically, managing all these processes and people and bringing a product to existence, bringing a product to life, and doing all this. That's who a product manager is. So, if you look at it critically, a product manager wears multiple hats. One day, depending on the organization you're in, a product manager can be working as a scrum master. A product manager can be working as a project manager. A product manager can be working as a product marketing manager because you will do go to market strategy. A product manager can be working as a UX researcher. A product manager, name it. So you can wear multiple hats as a product manager. And like you said earlier on, it's when you love what you're doing, it comes in freely. You won't see it as a burden when you're wearing multiple hats. However, there are some organizations that they have all these things broken down, and it makes it much more interesting. So basically, that's the idea of who a product manager is. It's just like an orchestra, right? In an orchestra, you have the instrumentalists, you have the singers. Let me put them the choristers, where you have soprano, tenor, alto, and then you have the conductor. The product manager is like the conductor of that orchestra. He's telling this person to do this thing right now. He's telling her, okay, soprano, you go ahead, and that's basically how they coordinate that whole system to work to bring something beautiful, harmony, music that is in unison. That's the idea of working as a product manager. And talking about the key roles or responsibilities of a product manager, for me, I've broken it down into I'll say five, but in summary, there are three: strategy, road mapping, and shipping of the products. So the strategy part can now be broken down further to say, okay, defining the product, conducting market research and competitive analysis to understand what the market is saying about what you want to build, conducting customer research to understand what your customers actually need. Okay, if you have gone to the market to conduct research and you see that there's an existing product, but is it satisfied? Is it meeting the needs of the customers? If it is not meeting, what does the customer need? What's the actual pain point, right? And then you can then build on that. And you can then come back after you've done all your research and then start a brainstorming session of product ideas, right? And just not the product manager is not the only one that does this. He can work with his team of engineers, designers. They can brainstorm together and then go ahead to define the product vision and the strategy once the idea has been conceptualized and agreed on and aligned on. And then from defining the product strategy and the product and vision and strategy, basically, you go ahead to build your business case. Now, business case in the sense that, okay, if I venture into this business, what is the market share that I will gain from the total market share we have? So let's say, for instance, let me use the payment space for instance, especially fintechs. We have the likes of Flutterwave, we have the likes of Paystack. These people already have a certain market share. If I'm bringing in something similar to what they're doing, how much of the total market share am I going to get from what these people already have and those things? So you're coming up with a business case and then you're looking at, okay, how can I generate revenue and make this business sustainable? Those are the things that you do in that definition phase. And there is the design phase of the product where you then come up with the requirements. Okay, for some businesses or most businesses, you come up with the product requirement documentation. And then part of it could be, coming up with user stories that you then cascade down to the designers, which they then use to build. In some cases, not just the user stories, you also probably have to come up with user flows or come up with wireframes, right? And then afterwards goes to design. From design, you can even do some user experience testing from prototypes, basically, and stuffs like that. And from that, you can then look at the part of building the product. Once design is ready, everything is aligned upon. The role of a product manager doesn't end there. You go ahead to building the product, and building the product implies engaging the development team. You're also managing and prioritizing the backlog, and you are documenting, analyzing, and you are communicating all decisions across that whole process. And then you're also planning for the release. So for everything that is happening, you manage all that process, and then you also manage the release. And the last part, which is to ship the product. Yeah, at the end of the day, there is a part where you have to work with marketing, right? To come up with your go-to-market strategy. You come up with your brand strategy, and then you define, customer communication and your positioning with the marketing team, and then prepare release notes. And then you also, prepare documents for training sessions for your sales and customer support, which subsequently lead to the launch of the product. So those are key rules. I've tried to break down those, the responsibilities of a product manager into those different levels, and that's just the way I can explain it for now. But that's the beauty of how what the product manager does in his role as a product manager. So in product management, rather.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like the last part you said is beauty, but to me, it's workload, huh? Anyways, I mean, like it's obvious that much is expected for you or from you as a product manager.
Yeah.
The manager in it is a lot of hats, people's management, development management, even up to launch. I mean, go to market strategy, and when you launch, and what next do you want to do, right? And that's where strategy comes in. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of hats, and you can take it bit by bit, and that's why there is like a junior part of it. You can even start as a scrum guy who just make sure that the idea of the senior guy or the main product manager, which he has broken into bit by bit, is being managed properly in sprints, right? And you can also be an associate guy, which the guy is doing the major thing while he also like gives you some call back. Okay, speak to these guys, speak to these customers, give me data from it, and let me use it to plan what we want to do there. And there's also the part that you speak with the designers where you make sure that UX is being taken care of. Most importantly, I mean, whether they like it or not, they are going to design the UI, but it's important that UX is it's included, because I mean, sometimes we see product out there that is actually solving a significant problem, but then because the US is shitty, nobody is able to use it, and it becomes redundant. And before you know it, the product is somebody just comes in with a better UX that is doing just 1% of the 100% that is shipped out, and is attracting more customer than you do. All of this should be taken into consideration, and is part of the hats for a product, part of the hats that a product manager is wearing. And like you also said, there is like a go-to-market strategy. How do you want to hit the market? Know the parts of the market that you want to take care of. Yes, there is this product that is taking care of this. Let me take care of this part, and let me leverage my solution in it and get as much money I can get. And then after the launch, what next do we want to build? What are these guys asking for more? All of this stuff is a lot of things. And trust me, it is more of critical thinking, critical decision, looking at data, and just understanding. And also, one of the major things is feeling like the customer, right? It's like the core thing. You need to know how your customer feels, right? I've built a product in the past that I can legit tell you how my customer feels. Like, I mean, I sort of like, and later, fortunately, there are things like inspect legs that you later have to know what their journey is like when they are using your product. But then before then, it used to be looking at data and just know that, oh, I think the reason why this guy is stuck here is because he doesn't know this, right? And you just sort of like, I mean, I can remember like it's that year, you have to like people a lot of people start calling a lot of customers, sort of like understand why they are stuck and why they stop using this before. I mean, it's a lot. Thank you for, and I also like how you have given a lot of examples to how this. If somebody is able to answer this question in an interview just like you have done it, you already have the job. Absolutely. Like you already have the job. I mean, like you just killed everything, to be honest. Thank you so much. And yeah, I mean, after like knowing what product management is, how do you, I mean, before you even get to that interview, it is that you're submitting your resume, right? How do you make sure that your resume is structured properly? You have the expected portfolio for that job that you're applying for and the expected, relevant experience and skills for it. Tailor the resume for it, for that specific requirement of each job application. How do you do this? I know there is a popular saying that a product manager does not have one resume, right? You have a lot. Depending on the kind of job you're applying for, tailored for it. But then sometimes it is that you have one, the major guy, and just sort of tweak it for every time you want to apply. How do you like, let people, guide people to effortlessly do this and
Um,
get.
Sorry, I might need to go over the question
Mhm,
again. Sorry,
mhm.
I had an internet glitch, so
Okay, okay. It's a thing in Nigeria. It's fine.
yeah, I had to quickly switch my internet to another provider
Apologies,
immediately.
apologies.
No problem.
It's how beautiful Blue is now the leading guy in data today.
The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone.
so, so yeah, how the question is how do you how do you guide people in structuring their resume and portfolio to that specific job requirements, that they are applying for? How do they tailor um the importance of tailoring resumes and portfolios to specific requirements of each job application.
Okay. For me, one of the things when it comes to job applications, right? What I always advise is first of all, your CV has to be um, in such
Dynamic.
a way that you can pass the first stage, which is in a lot of times, which is um, the ATS tool that is used to first of all, sieve out as many CVs as possible, which is not even the human aspect of sieving out CVs. So there is first that part. So you need to be able to first of all structure your CV in such a way that you have key what was the word key terminologies that are for that role, job responsibilities, right, for that role captured in your CV. And first of all, what I would usually advise is for a CV, let your CV not be more than 2 pages, right? No matter the level you are, whether you are a graduate trainee or you are a senior person. I know for seniors it can be more, right? And there are other ways of doing it. However, um, for your application, let it not be more than 2 pages. If you can make it 1 page, pretty good. Um, the first part, which is your um, professional summary, basically, if you can write it in such a way that it's not more than 3 sentences, 3 short sentences that captures major parts of things that you have done. Or basically, it can be summarized in three: who I am, what I have done, and what I am looking for. So, say for instance, for me, I'm a proactive product manager, adept in the art of, problem solving, breaking down complex um, s- business requirements into, this. And then the things I've done, I have built cross-border remittance payments. I have built, you know, virtual account systems to be able to receive money. I have built this. So I've said the things I've done. See, by the time an 8 years, wants to probably go through and they've, modeled some of these things into this thing, look out for this set of keywords. And that was what I'm looking for. Keywords. Make sure those keywords for that job role are captured. And it will help you scale that first stage. If it is not an 8 years that is doing it, it's a human being that is doing it, right? I have reviewed several CVs. The average time, according to data, that a HR personnel will use to review a CV, if you have hundreds and thousands of CVs, is 6 seconds. And within that 6 seconds, what are they doing? They are looking for keywords for that particular role that they are recruiting for in your professional summary. If they are patient enough, they will go to your experience. But because they have lots of CVs, you see that your professional summary should do a lot for you. It should capture a lot of things that you are in just that 6 seconds they have, and they should be able to catch their attention. If they now leave that part and come to the body, I always tell people, if you are a fresh graduate, you probably don't have experience and all those things. You probably don't need to come up with so much experience in your CV. There are a lot of templates out there. In your professional summary, capture it there. This is who I am. Talk about your strengths and everything in that part, and then tell them what you're looking for. Okay, I am actively searching for a role in this. Okay, maybe things that you are good at. Look for those skills. Project management. Okay, I'm good at project management, even though you are not a project manager, but these are skills that you have built over the years as an individual. So those skills are things you capture. Well, if you are not a fresh graduate or you are not a graduate trainee, right? I would always say come up with your job, your experience first. So after your professional summary, go to your experience. And your experience, don't write. When I was very much young in this career, you see one job experience just full. All I've written there is my job responsibilities. I have not even done anything. I have not captured their attention. And what they want to see is, what have you done? I have been able to build this, and this. That led to what? It led to the growth of the business in terms of revenue from so year to so year. We move from this revenue to this revenue. So you need to also capture data, right? They want to see how well you have improved that business. So in your writing, your experience, I have built or for someone like me, I have managed or I have facilitated integrations with banks in Nigeria that has led to increase in our revenue from so amount to so amount in the space of this period. So I've been able to make the person understand that, look, I have that experience. I know what I'm doing. That person was like, okay, this person actually has done this. That doesn't mean people don't fake it, right? You can fake it, but you will be found out eventually when you get to the interview. But at least let your CV be able to pass that stage, right? Then afterwards, after your experience, right, you then come up with and usually I always tell people, your experience, let it not be more than 4 bullet points. 4 bullet points. If you can do it in three, that will capture the main things that they want to see in that job role. You have looked at the job description, you have picked the keywords in that job description, you have used it to come up with your experience, and then it captures everything they want. If you can do it in 3 bullet points, it helps you to save space for more job experiences that you've had in the past that you can also add. 3, 4 bullet points, and then you go on to coming up with your skills. What skills have you had? You have hard skills, you have soft skills. What are the hard skills you have gained? What are the soft skills you have gained? Okay, hard skills in the area of project management, in the area of, you know, um, research, in the area of user experience, design. You can name them, right? And then you go to the soft skills, effective communication, quick learning and iteration, and you can name soft skills like that, leadership, adaptation, and stuff like that. By the time you name all those things, they know that okay, this person is going to be a good fit. Let's take him to the next stage. So then, if you also have volunteer, if you have done things, how would I put it, volunteer jobs or volunteer, you have played a volunteer, you have been a volunteer in a situation before, for a program or for something that you basically help the community or the society. you can also write it there. You know, being a panelist for this set of people, being a panelist for the likes of, you know, if it's tech for dev, where they train people, digital literacy, you know, train women into digital literacy and stuff like that. Being a panelist for this that said, volunteered for this, I volunteered for that. You should also capture some of those things. And those are things that I would usually, you know, recommend for people to work on when they are curating their CV. For me, those are critical ones for me, basically. Then the other side of it is for people that are seniors, because you have done so much, you cannot capture everything inside 2 pages sometimes. It's always good for you to have a portfolio. It's a portfolio that describes what you have done in different ways. So you can look, you can check online. There are several templates of portfolios that you can follow through. Some can capture, okay, where you worked on research. Some can capture where you worked on execution. Some can capture, a part can capture project management and stuff like that. So for people that have done so much and they cannot contain it in 2 pages, you can just create a portfolio. You have your portfolio. Another thing is at the top of your CV, I would usually say, don't, well, different people with different, for me, address, I'll just tell you to put whether Lagos, Nigeria, your first name and last name. You don't necessarily need to put a picture of you. Some people will go to the extent. For me, I don't think it's necessary, in my opinion. Your first name, your last name, bold, your email address, one phone number, as much as possible. That is, you know, reachable. People put 2 phone numbers sometimes. Though you don't need it. Just put one phone number that is reachable. Then your LinkedIn profile. Make sure you have your LinkedIn profile at that top part so that they can also easily click and just go and see your LinkedIn profile. Basically, that's it from me.
Thank you so much. Right. I mean, this is like um the gems. I mean, it's fine to be a product manager and know what how you do things, but there's another thing for CV, right? I've known a lot of guys that's know what they are doing. I mean, you've seen them when you talk to them. I've seen the magic that they have built, but they are unable to pass it on to the students. And when you just
Yeah,
look at the video, you'll be like, "Who's this guy?" I'd be like, what's going on here? Like, there's no major
yeah,
milestone, there's nothing for what they are doing, and it's just super crazy. Like, I mean, aside that we are bringing this here, one of those things that we give you a proba is that we have somebody to help you write your CV, to help you review it, and guide you to how best to write them, and this how to attract um, recruiters and also get employed. Ajibola, please go ahead. I saw you raise your hand.
Yeah, thank you so much, Muhyiddin and Victor. This has been helpful. Thank you so much. So, my
Mhm.
question is, there are some certifications. I've seen some job descriptions that like required certifications. Like, what kind of certification do you think someone can do, and the skills, like soft skills now, like that you think we can have to
Yeah,
apply for a job description role? You know, I've seen like something like some people have requested for like PMP exams, you know, Scrum Master or something like that. So, what do you think? Like, what are the basic ones that you need to have for you to be able to qualify for those ones? Thank you.
yeah, Claire, thank you for that. I mean, that's a good one, to be honest. Michael, I'm sorry, Victor, do you want to take that?
yeah. All right. So certifications are very good. I will not deny that. Um, and it's good to have them. In the end, the question is after your certification, what the employer is looking for is, can you do this particular thing? What can you do for me? Right? So I would usually advise, if you want to go into project management, PMP is not a bad one. It's a very good certification. Even in product management, there are certified global bodies that give out very good certification. Some organizations are very strict on certification. They want to know whether you have the AIPMM certification as a product manager before they can even consider you for employee, or it will be an added advantage for you, right? For some, it might be product school certification, and all these things come at a cost, right? And you need to also invest in them. It's just you investing in yourself. So certifications are good, but the bottom line, I think, for every employer is after all this certification, if you get to the interview stage, right? Can you tell me what you can do for me in that particular role I want to employ you for? So I'm not saying you shouldn't get certification, but beyond the certification, your experience, what you have done before, what you can do matters a lot more, because at the end of the day, it's not the certification that does the work for you. It is you who is going to do the job. So I always advise people to that while you're doing the job, keep improving yourself. It's very, very important. And if it means going to take one course, get a certification somewhere, yes, it's very good. So let's not also get it twisted. Certifications are good. However, certifications will not do the job. It will give you an edge. Some organizations are certification lovers, and they would love you to have it. They feel more secure. And the fact that if you have gone through the certification, that means you actually know how to, and that's truth. That's the truth. There are some certifications that whether you like it or not, when you go through it, right, you will be good at that particular profession. That's just it. That's the way I see it. I hope I was able to answer your question, okay?
Yes, yes, thank you. How about some other skills like maybe others, Excel,
Okay,
Power BI,
Excel.
those basic ones?
They are very good. Excel, as a product manager, you need to be able to use Excel, if not to the advanced level, intermediate level. Power BI for visualization of data. You may not necessarily be the one doing the whole analytical intricacies. You might have data analysts who do that for you, and they just present you with a dashboard that you can filter and do everything you want to do to see. The likes of Tableau is another one you can. For some people, they go to the extent of even using Python for data analytics. So it's always very good. SQL is another one. Yeah, if you're dealing with a lot of data, you can just write quick queries, and then it will help you filter out what the information you're looking for. So it's very good. It gives you an edge as a product manager if you have an extra skill, extra hard skill. And you will see some companies would rather hire a technical product manager that has been a developer before than hire someone like me who has not been a developer but understands the dynamics of technical development. So different organizations with their different um, operating procedures. However, um, whichever way you decide to do it, there is no one rule of thumb to it, right? However, those certifications are also um, very, very good, and they give you an edge above somebody else who doesn't have it.
Thank you for that, Victor. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you cannot overemphasize skills. I mean, it just helps you be better as a product manager, right?
Yeah.
Even if it is just like having to understand users. Sometimes it is that you are from the retention team before, and you just know how to handle users and make sure they are product evangelists and come back to use your products, refer you, and all like that. Like you cannot overemphasize what skills, I mean, a set of skill can do to you as a product manager. Whether it's data, you just look at data and you just can drive insight from it. And like Victor also said, it is important that you at least know how to analyze data to some extent, because I mean it's how you know your product is good. I mean, how do you want to? Sometimes, I mean, most times in startups, you might be wearing those hats also, right? I mean, because there's no a lot of money to hire
Yeah.
an analyst and stuff like that. But at least you could just do the barest minimum, which is like having to know, do counts, do just barest minimum things on Excel, right? Thank you so much, Victor. And Ifelola, thank you so much for asking that question. It's a good one. Yeah, I mean, I mean, today, let's say I have an interview for a product management job. What are those things that I should prepare to get ready for what is coming at me? Because going to
Okay.
product management interview, it's not an easy one. It's not like going for support or
All right.
something. I feel like going for product management interview is harder than going for engineering interview or something, because you just want to come and write code. Nobody cares about how you think or anything. You just want to write that code and that's all.
Well, that might be true because I also believe engineering is not also very much easy like that, because I can write the code from the back and get the answer, and then you can write the code from the front and get the answer. It's probably the one from the front that is more sustainable compared to writing it from the back, and then the effort. So I know they look at a lot of things when it comes to the code and how you write it. However, it's more difficult, like you said, um, for product managers, because it's more of a subjective thing than an objective thing. So for the engineers, it might be maybe a 1 plus 1 would eventually give you 2, right? However, for the product managers, it might be because this is the culture of this particular organization, right? What they're expecting is subjective to a certain person, maybe the hiring manager. And if you are not saying what the hiring manager wants to hear, you might not get the job. However, there are some basic and fundamental principles I had to follow, and I need to make some things known before I go into them. One is that the more interviews you attend, the better you are at answering interview questions, and do not feel bad when you fail an interview. It's a stepping stone to the next interview. You go back, evaluate yourself. Okay, this is what I didn't do right. I won't lie to you. There was one interview I went to when I just finished my training back then too. I knew everything. Everything was hot in my head. But you won't believe that I got into that interview and they asked me one question. This same question I had answered in other interviews. But I got there and I just got blank. I don't know what happened. Maybe I was overwhelmed with the fact that I was attending interviews and I was not being called. And I just didn't remember the product life cycle stages. And this is something that I answered it. But I did not die. I went back and said that, Victor, how on earth will you forget this? Your teachers will be angry at you. I was telling myself, but that's just the beauty of attending. And today now, if you call me for an interview, like I always tell people, you must always prepare for interview, right? But there are some interviews that you will not prepare for, but you will still have something to say. But you must always prepare for interview. That's another thing. People underrate interviews and they decide to go for interviews without preparing. Don't ever underrate any interview. Make sure you prepare. So this is how I would, there are common questions that they will ask you in an interview, and there are very simple ways you can answer them. One, introduce yourself. It's a question across every interview. It's just very few, maybe 1 or 2 interviews that they did not ask me to introduce myself. They just went straight. But you need to know how to introduce yourself. One of the ways is, let me see how I can introduce myself briefly. And then you need to be able to time yourself. Time yourself into, maybe I don't want to use more than 5 minutes to introduce myself. You already know my name, so I don't need to say, okay, I am a proactive product manager with 6 years of experience. Over my 6 years of experience, I have cultivated the habit of, breaking down complex business requirements, and I've used it to build, products that users love. I am also commercially aware, and as a result, I strive to increase revenue and also reduce operational cost in the process of building our products and launching our products. And I exhibited this at so place where I'm working, where we were building this and this. I had to introduce this, and as a result of introducing this, it led to this and this. I have given you, and then I go and say, okay, I currently work at Block as in the capacity of an API product manager, where I facilitate integrations with banking partners, integration with fintech partners. I also have to do this, and this. Prior to that time, I've worked with this other team or this company where I also worked in this capacity, and I was also able to achieve this set of things. And in the process of all this, I have built I've gained soft skills like effective communication, quick learning and iteration. adaptation. I have also gained hard skills in the area of project management, in the area of product development, agile. And I believe that if I am given the opportunity to join your team, I will be a value add to your team. Shikena, and you have done your introduction. So there are ways in which you can do this, and you have to practice these things. You have to write it down. So that's where the part of preparing comes in. For me, before I go for any interview, my introduction, I write it down. I stay in front of my mirror and I recite it. I meditate on it. I meditate on it. I try to, to the point where when I now sit alone without what I've written, I have a mental image of my introduction that I was meditating on. So people need to start to prepare for interviews. That's one question that comes in. Another question that comes in as a product manager, there are many other questions. There are many questions. One of them is, okay, your strengths, your weaknesses. Obviously, that will come probably towards the end, your strengths and your weaknesses. And there are ways to answer that. For instance, if I ask you your strengths and weaknesses, okay, let me answer a weakness question for instance. You don't answer a weakness question to the point where you shoot yourself in the leg. You answer it in such a way that you can turn it into a strength, right? For instance, my weakness is giving feedback, and I had to learn to start giving feedback because back then when I used to give feedback, some people took it as as criticism, whereas I realized that it was important to always give feedback so that the product can be improved, things like that. So that way, it's something that they count as weak. You count as weakness, but you have used it as your own strength. Another thing you can also another question you can also answer. Another question that often comes is also things around um, this thing. They ask questions like, "What product have you built before?" So you need to prepare for that. It's very, very important. What product have you built before? When they ask you what product have you built before, they are going somewhere. They want you to say, okay, I've built this product before. Okay, in that product, tell us how you built it. Just give us an idea from concept to launch. It's a question that comes, and you need to know how to be able to answer it. Okay, this was how we started. We did this research, blah blah blah, and then from the research we moved on to coming up with the concept. After we had realized the pain points and we came up with the concept and the product, came up with our vision, and then from there we moved on to documentation of the product requirement documents, and then the product requirement documents we came up with wireframes and everything. From there we had the user stories, or maybe user stories and the wireframes, and from there we moved on to designers. We aligned with everybody, not just designers, aligned with the team on what the product is all about, and then we moved on to the design phase, and then the designers came up with the design, and everybody, after it was signed off on, we moved on to the part of the engineers, where we handed it over to the project management team, or whether the product manager is even the project manager at that point. You assign tasks using your whichever tool you want to use, whether it's your Jira, it's your Trello, or ClickUp, or name it. There's several, and then from there you move on to the part of having your daily stand up, where you come to talk about three different things, the three things that you have, the three major things, what you did yesterday, what you are doing today, and if there is any blocker. So if you can talk about those things, so everybody knows, so that way you get to know if there's a major blocker that you have to solve, and like that. So you can talk about that the way you build that project, that particular product, and all that whole story. So these are some of the things that are also looking out for. Another very common question is, tell us a product that you like. Is very common. You say, I like this product. My brother, prepare for it before you go. Think of that product before you go. For me, when I was very much in the business, I hope recruiters are here and they will not catch our scoop. So I'll usually say,
Don't worry, don't worry. Still time my product managers alone.
I'll usually say something like Grammarly. And you know why I say Grammarly? There is something that Spotify does. At the end of the year, they tell you your music and everything. So I will now bring that kind of situation and bring it to Grammarly. I say at the end of the year, I've used Grammarly. Grammarly should be able to come up with, they will ask you, okay, when you say Grammarly as the product you love, they will tell you, what don't you like about Grammarly? Or what would you like to improve about Grammarly? Or what can Grammarly do to, improve their service to their customers. I can then go ahead to say, okay, there's this thing that Spotify does, right? And then from there, Grammarly can do something similar. They can do an analysis of the kind of changes they had to make, or the kind of suggestions, recommendation they made for me that I accepted, and I used, and on the basis of that, come up with different areas in English language that I can study, and even share articles that can help me to improve myself in that area. So they can come up with things around lexical structure, vocabulary building, name it, the different areas in English language. It's been a long time, so I can't remember all these things. So these are questions that you can actually prepare for. If for some people it's a payment product that they are using and they're experiencing a challenge, and as a result they say, okay, how I wish they can do this for me. So when you get to the point of interview, I love this particular product. For some people it's WhatsApp, so they can say, okay, WhatsApp, I want them to improve this. So you need to take your time, prepare for these very common questions they ask. I just give hints about these common questions because there are things that I experienced again and again. And at a point in my career, there was a time where I was attending interviews like I was going for a job, and I was so used to all these questions that I already had an answer before even going to before the questions I even asked. So these are some of the ways questions you should prepare for. Um, Other things are, you must be ready to ask questions and ask intelligent questions. Don't just ask regular questions. Don't just there are ways you can do a research about that particular industry they are in, and then find out something that they are probably not doing, that maybe a competitor is doing, that is giving that competitor an edge, and ask them, okay, I did a research, I saw this about this industry. Why are you not, leveraging this? Why are you not doing this? So that way they know that, oh, this guy is not just any guy that wants to come and join us. He's going to bring in some beautiful insights into our team that can help us to grow the business. So don't just go and, answer all the questions and you don't have a question to ask them. They begin to question whether they want to hire you. So it's important that you prepare for interview, prepare, write the answer down, read it, meditate on it day and night until you go for that interview. You might not say it word for word, but it's going to help you in the long run. I hope I've been able to answer this question. I think,
I think Muhyiddin has a network glitch.
oh, yeah. So while we wait for him, so basically, interviews can really be interesting. And like I said earlier, it's also very important. Don't take any interview for granted. Make sure you prepare for it. No matter the short time you have, prepare for the interview. It's very, very important. Yeah, Muhyiddin, we have you back.
Yeah, apologies. I mean, it's the network. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, you've dropped gems. I mean, I personally have learned. Fortunately and unfortunately for me, over the years, I've been moving from roles with referrals, right? And that's where we are going to next, right? What's the value of networking in product management, right? I mean, aside jobs that it gives you, I mean, one of the beautiful things is to say, oh, we want to integrate with Bumper tomorrow, and you just put a call to the product manager there and the discussion starts, right? Or you put a call to the CEO or somebody significant, right? And discussion start. As against start looking for who do you want to talk to, how you want to start that. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. And today in big companies, that's why there are people for in charge of partnership and stuff like that. Your APIs are already ready to integrate, but it takes another 2 weeks for somebody to start talking to the other company to start doing things. And I mean, it's crazy. Beautiful thing about startup today is all of these things are a lot faster, right? For startup, you just need to put people on call. They come to the call, you discuss your motive, they align with it. Even before they sign the SLA, somebody's already building.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so I mean, what's the value that this give? What's like the strategies for building this relationship with industry professionals, attending networking events, leveraging online platforms like LinkedIn and all, right? Uh, how does this work for you? How do you do this?
All right. So I would say for for networking and building relationships, they are very critical. In fact, they are a major part or a major skill, a major soft skill that a product manager should have. You need to be able to build relationship with your, first of all, cross-functional team. So you're working with your designers, your engineers, the sales team, the communications team, brand team. You need to be able to build cordial relationships. And like Muhyiddin said, most of the jobs that he has done now have come based on referrals, and that's very true. When it comes to building relationships, whether you build it within your cross-functional team or outside the organization or with, you know, colleagues or career partners, what have you. Um, I think some people have missed the point of networking and building relationships, that they think, okay, when they go there, they just collect your number and that's the end. And then they can, you see, relationship is about keeping keeping in touch, right? You don't just collect people's number. You need to keep in touch. You don't necessarily have to wait until that day where you have something to do, right? Before you engage such people. Once in a while, you can meet up, you can check on them. It shows that you care. And trust me, when something comes up, right, they would call you. And when you need something, you can call them. It's easier that way. And like we didn't said earlier, jobs, sometimes the best way of getting a job is through recommendation or referral. It becomes more easier. You won't have to go through the process of them scanning through your CV before you get an interview. You can just go from sending your CV to getting the interview straight. So what I would usually advise is, as much as you attend networking events, look for people who you align in terms of goals, right? And in terms of career trajectory, and then link up with them, right? If you need, you should also be outspoken, right? If you need a mentor, don't be shy to tell the person, can you mentor me? And another thing I've observed is some people always look at, I'm older than this person. Why would I tell this person to mentor me? I'm sorry. You have a long way to go if that's the case. Muhyiddin, you have your hand raised.
Don't mind me. It was a mistake.
Okay.
Sorry. I,
All
I
right.
was clapping for you. I was clapping for you. Like that thing is absolute. I mean, you need to find a mentor that aligns with your goals. Just because
Yeah,
somebody is a senior product manager, is a product lead, you might even be thinking way, way far than that person, right? I mean,
exactly.
sometimes it's just a role. It's not the person. You
Yeah,
need to know. You need to be careful with who you take as your mentor. Sometimes they drive you down, and you never get to where you want to be, right? Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. Like that's key,
yeah.
100%.
So, like I was saying, so you need to get the right mentor whose career trajectory aligns with yours, and you need to always keep in touch. And another thing I've observed about transitioning product managers, I'm not saying people are lazy, right? But some people want you to do everything for them. Trust me, when someone is mentoring you, don't expect them to do everything for you. In fact, go and say, okay, well, this is what I've been able to do. And what do you think? They can now help, recommend things that you can do better, right? Be open to learning from these people when you get a mentor. And another thing is, when you're in these different spaces, you need to also, have a body you are transitioning, or you have somebody close that you're doing this together, so you both can also encourage each other in that journey, because the journey can be a very, very tiring one. Sometimes you just get frustrated and be like, oh, I don't think I can go any further. I often tell people my story, where for a lot of the jobs I applied for, I didn't apply myself. It was the community I belonged to that was sending my CV. So you also need to belong to you can belong to a community, right? A community where you guys are all aligned, and they can also help you in your career progression. For me, I belong to a couple of communities where they even also post jobs. I can go and apply for them. And in fact, some of them will say, okay, oh, I'm looking for also, so send your CV to me. And that's it. So it's very important that you don't take networking for granted. A lot of the jobs that I've gotten, even not till tomorrow, have come from networking. I still have mentors that will call me and say, we are looking for so. Are you interested? I'm sorry, I'm not interested. Okay, recommend somebody. I recommend people. And you see the power of networking. The people I recommend are people that have been, close to me. They talk to me. I know what they are looking for at that point in time. So you need to, in your building of relationship, right? You must make sure that you're also keeping in touch. Don't stand aloof and expect that when something good comes, they would immediately remember you, or when you need a problem or you need you need some help, you will just go and you know disturb them and they would leave whatever they're doing for you. Another thing, it also helps you in your role as a product manager is that when you have to probably like Muhyiddin said, you have to probably do an integration with say a bank. How do you just want to go? You probably don't even won't even see anybody on LinkedIn there and all those things. If you don't attend some of these events where you will meet these people and collect their contact, right? You won't be able to start something. So these days now, when it comes to NIBS, I have done a lot of integration with NIBS. So when my company needs something at NIBS, Victor, we need this. And trust me, in 1-2 minutes, I can put a call through to 1, 2, 3 people at NIBS, and I'll have a solution to it. And the same with some banks that I've also worked with. In fact, a couple of banks that people that I knew they have left. When I call them, they say, I've left, but I'll give you somebody's contact. And that's how it is. So networking is very, very important. Building relationships. And that is what some people use when they get into that partnership part, growth part, when they say, okay, this is the partnership lead, the growth lead, is because of these contacts, these connects they have to be able to push some buttons to get some things done quickly. And that is where the part of networking and building relationships. So it's not just networking, build the right relationships when you network. I hope I was able to answer that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for this. Everything is just gem. Like you mentioned in the first from the beginning that this is what you love to do. I mean, it's evident, right? Thank you so much. And yeah, I mean, actually, there's no time, but I think maybe I will have the the guys arranging this to have you come again. I would love to have you again. Anyways, so yeah, I mean this 1 minute, please. Some seconds. My network is super terrible. I hope you guys are hearing me. By the way,
I can hear you clearly. I can
ah,
hear you.
let it not be bad that my village people are actually using CTG already. Yeah, I mean, the last part is overcoming challenges and navigation doing careers, right? I mean, one of those is that for individuals transitioning into product management, um, what are like possible, yeah, definitely there are going to be lacks, but in what are possible obstacles that will come and how do they um, overcome all these stuff, basically. I think this is going to be the
Okay.
last.
All right. For someone who is transitioning into product management, um, I think the first thing is you need to get your motivations right. If you can get your motivations to joining a particular tech um, career, it will help you along. It will help you solve one major problem, not dropping out along the way when you start having these challenges. So get it right. What's your motivation? Do you want to? Do you have a? Do you feel the knack to, solve customer problems, solve people problems generally? Do you are you looking for a career where you will work with different teams and learn from them and they learn from you? Are you motivated by research? You like to do research. These are things that can motivate. When you've seen all these things, you can ask, okay, it's product management. Then when you get into product management, one thing I always often tell people is if you're currently on a job, right? Don't leave that job if it is possible, right? Because you need the funds to fund your product management transition. It is very important. You need funds. So it's always a challenge. So if you don't have a job that you can use to fund or you don't have a sponsor, you need to get one. So it can be something that can be a drawback for some people. So as much as possible, you need funds to do a lot of things. See, these certifications we're talking about, they don't come cheap, right? I remember when I did my first training, I paid some money. I had to borrow more than half of that money from my own brother, which I had to pay back in 4 months. I imagine that I didn't have a job to pay back in 4 months, right? So it entails, some level of funding. It's investment basically, right? And I'm happy that I made those decisions then. So you need money, right? You need funds. So if you have a job, I remember during that time I had to switch career to back to geospatial data analytics, where I was now taking trainings as a product manager, even though I'd worked as a product marketing manager, but I needed funds. And an opportunity came for more money in geospatial data analytics. And I just moved there briefly just to be able to gather funds. And I was getting all those funds and doing volunteer jobs. It was those funds I was using to run my volunteer jobs because my volunteer jobs were not paid. So, and a couple of things like that. That's one thing that I always advise people to always do. Another thing is the challenge of, attending interviews and getting love letters. Sorry, when I say love letter, I mean rejection. I often tag it as love letters. I want to tell you, unfortunately, don't let that one deter you. You will get a lot of unfortunately's, right? I got so many. In fact, after my training, um, after taking volunteer roles, joining hackathons and stuff like that, it took me like 10 months before again I could get back into product now as a product manager. In fact, at the point I had given up. I just went back into my product marketing. I got a job, product marketing, and then a month after I got my product management job. And I just had to move because it was what I was looking for at that point. So it is very, very important that you also know what you want to do, right? And try not to get distracted by the frustration of the love letters you're going to be getting or the rejections you're getting from the many interviews you are going for. So you have to keep on improving yourself. Don't stop. Some of the challenges is that people just give up. Take courses, keep taking courses, keep improving yourself. You see, those are the challenges that people face. They just relax and say, it's not forthcoming, and then they give up. Another challenge people get is when you go for interviews, they are looking for somebody who is experienced. And because of that, you feel frustrated that you don't have the experience. So who wants to give you the experience if they don't give you the opportunity? You can get the experience yourself. Apply for internship roles. If you don't get internships that are paid, volunteer for internships that you won't be paid, and um, just make sure you're building something. If they say they are doing a hackathon somewhere, they need a product manager, they need to volunteer, enter there and start doing something. You see, the interesting thing is that these things you build in these places are the things you will now talk about when you go into your interviews, because the major challenge there is that many recruiters are looking for what you can do for them. They don't want, many of them are not patient enough to say, okay, we want to train you and blah, blah, blah. Not all organizations are like that, right? Some organizations are just looking for somebody who is experienced. And if you don't build that experience somewhere, you will not get the job. So the frustration of attending interviews and not getting the job, and then trying to build a product and all those things, you need to pick up a project, you need to volunteer, you need to do something to get that experience. It's another thing I've observed, that people transitioning get to face, and it gets them to give up along the way. Another thing that I've also observed is the um, the industry gradually is getting saturated, right? Let me put it that way. There are so many product managers out there, and then you have to distinguish yourself. So the only way you can distinguish yourself is when you keep, working, you keep building something, you keep showing up. It is very, very important that you keep showing up at that place. One day something will happen. Perhaps somebody will recommend you, perhaps you will apply to something, and it is that thing you're doing that you will talk about in that particular interview that will get you the job. So you just always have to keep showing up. You don't have to give up because the industry is saturated with a lot of product managers. Trust me, I can tell you assuredly that many CVs that you see when you call them to interviews, because the CV is fine does not mean they will get the job, right? They cannot even, some people cannot defend what is in the CV. So when you start asking questions, you just know that this person just has textbook knowledge and just use AI to come up with this CV, and that's all. And so it is only when you have that experience you can actually, overcome those kind of challenges that oversaturation can bring into the industry. Another problem that I observe that people also have is limited industry knowledge. So some people don't have the knowledge of a certain industry, and because of that, they are probably not going to be given that job. So for me, at a point, I was not in the fintech, but I wanted to go into fintech, and then I started studying about fintech. I started trying to understand. I started researching. Okay, what's this thing? What's this fuss about fintech? And at that point in time, maybe because the money was there, or for me, it was not just the money, it was the fact that that industry was evolving really fast, and it's fast thinking. The regulators are not sitting down, they come up with policies every day that you have to immediately start looking at how you have to solve this problem. And then you're communicating with customers are giving you feedback on the basis of that. You have to keep iterating on your product. So it's a fast evolving space and highly innovative space. I wanted to be there, right? And I started studying, and I started applying for jobs in that space upon my knowledge that I had. And like I said in my CV, I now started writing things about, okay, seeking opportunities in the fintech area where I can actively, contribute and at the same time build my skills. And some of these things I started doing until I got an opportunity. I did the necessary things, the assessments and all. And I got it even though not having a fintech background. So if you're moving into a new field, it can be a challenge, right? You want to move into a new field. What you can do is you can go and study about that industry, and then there's also, as Web3 now, you have AI product managers, Web3 product managers, and stuff like that. You can study those areas, and then you can be masters in those areas. So don't limit yourself to one particular industry, and don't feel you cannot move into another industry because, or sorry, you cannot move into another sector of product management because you feel you don't have the experience. You can get the experience. Another way you can get the experience is you can volunteer. Even as an experienced person, you can volunteer. Up until tomorrow, I still do some free projects for some people, right? It helps me to learn more about those industries, so I can talk about some industries now, even though it's not my industry. But because I have done one or two projects there, I have an idea of how some things work there. So you can volunteer to get insights into it. For people who are probably in another department or in a certain company and they want to move into product management, another way to get some of these experiences. Okay, you are in customer experience, you have a product department in your establishment. Go there, speak to the product head of product or product lead, and say, you would like to transition into product management too. You like to be joining them in one or two things that they are doing so that you can get experience. And if there is anything they can even give you, you are doing your job as customer experience, but at the same time, you are also shadowing with product team and you are getting experience. And these experiences are things that you eventually talk about that would stand you out amongst the crowd of people that are also trying to vie for a certain job that you're looking for. So it's very important to also remember that industry knowledge is also very can also help. Some industries are very specific. They will tell you if you don't have fintech experience, don't apply. If you don't have crypto experience, don't apply. If you don't, so you can learn those things. Another thing I think I've seen is work-life balance, and I don't know whether there's actually work-life balance, but I think it's how would I call it? And let me just leave it that way. But being a product manager sometimes, right, can come with um its stress, right? And you want to balance everything, right? You want to be able to live your daily life and stuff like that. So you need to be able to plan your time very well. Time management is very critical to help manage work-life balance. One of the challenges I remember at a point in my career, I would work from 8 to 8 p.m. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at some point in my career. And you need to plan very well to be sure that, okay, because of your own health too, 8 to 4 is what I signed for, 8 to 5. And let me finish by 5. I can do other things. Your self-development is also there. So you don't give out too much of your time to the company, and then you're depreciating as an individual, and the company is increasing. So you need to be able to manage your time very well, right? When you eventually come into the profession or into the career, because if you are not careful, you can get carried away that you are all about work, and then your personal life is lagging behind. So it's important that you also learn to manage time very well, so that you have that balance with work and your life outside work is very, very important. I don't know, is there any other challenge that I have experienced people? I think the other some other challenges is some people willingness to learn. You must be willing to learn. If you're coming in afresh, you must be willing to learn, and you can learn from everybody. You can learn from the engineers, you can learn from the designers. You are not an island. In the process of your research, involve everybody. In the process of your brainstorming, involve everybody. They can have an insight that will help you make your work very easy. You are not doing so, you must be open to learning, and it will help people that I know don't want to always learn. I've always had challenges. It's one of the challenges too with product management. If you are not an island, you need to collaborate with people. You need to be a team player, and these are things that will help you, maneuver your way through the whole challenges that we get to face in working as product managers. It's very, very important that you are open to learning and also sharing knowledge, helping people grow. It's very important. That's it, Muhyiddin. Thank you.
Thank you so much for breaking this down. I mean, it's very important, like what you said on industry knowledge. In as much as it is as important as the job itself, it is you should also understand that you can learn, right? Even when you have features that you don't understand how it can work, you have the engineers in the team who have built something similar. You can have chit chat with them, but even sometimes go back to the stakeholders that have wanted this and just ask them one or two questions. Give you clarity as to what is needed to be built, how this is done in the current industry, so you don't commit a blunder that will actually cost the company more. I mean, than actually um, them making money from it. Thank you so much for this, and yeah, thank you for dropping all of these gems. I'm super happy to have you around here, and I'm really, really glad that you were able to match up with our expectation. Thank you so much, Victor. We are going to round this up now. If you have any question, comments, or if you have any specific topic you would like us to explore in our future episode, please be sure to reach out to the organizers. We'll be sure to bring a perfect person to come discuss it, just like we have Victor today. And as always, please ensure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, pick our product management classes. Make sure you stay tuned to the next one. And like I usually say, until the next one, keep innovating, keep learning. These are like the major things that Victor have discussed today. And keep being passionate about the world of product management. That is the key thing that drives you to become better. All right. This is your host, Muhyiddin Akoni, and Victor signing out. And know that, and remember that your next great product idea might just be around the corner. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. It's nice being with you today. We
Thank you
enjoyed
so much.
it. Yeah.
I'm your DM
Thank
already,
Thank you so
Victor.
much.
Don't worry, come to my DM. I will respond to everybody.
Okay, I've sent LinkedIn request.
No problem. I'm going to answer. I'm going to respond to everyone. Thank
All
you
right,
very
All
much.
thanks,
right.
Thank you
guys.
Thank you
so
very
much,
much. Thank you.
Victor. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for being
Thank
our
you.
guest speaker today, for sharing your expertise and insights with us as well. Your guidance on the topic has really, really
truly enriched our discussion today and inspired us all. From the
Thank you
job
very much.
applications, resume restructuring, what certifications we need to have, how to ace PM interviews. I mean, it's a lot. Building relationships, networking, and it's a lot. Thank you so much. We're so grateful for your contributions, and we look forward to more enlightening conversations in the future. Thank you to Muhyiddin Akoni as well. Muhyiddin, thank you so much. We appreciate. Until we meet
You're welcome.
again,
Thank you,
stay
guys.
curious, everyone. Keep striving
Thank
for
you.
excellence. Have a great week, everyone.
You too. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.